are some secrets men don't tell women? Story 1. When you send us selfies, we will probably save our favorite ones to the cloud. We like hearing you laugh. No, those pants don't make you look fat. You're fat, which is what makes you look fat. Story 2. I've been having extremely painful dental issues for weeks. I didn't even realize that I was keeping how much pain I've been in a secret from my wife until she asked why I was so upset about having to reschedule my dentist appointment today. Edit. I went to the dentist. Pain was due to gingivitis, which I'm getting fixed. Thanks the supportive people. The rest of you will be forgotten by the time I wake up tomorrow. Story 3. Yes, your friend is hot. And yes, sometimes hotter than you, but we really don't care that much and it doesn't eat at us like TV shows play up for their plot lines. We recognize they're hot and move on. We picked you because we love you. Get out of your own head. Story 4. The smell of my wife's hair is the smell of home. They say your home is where your heart is. She's 5 feet tall, and I'm 58, so when I hug her, which is as often as possible, I can't help but get a waft of the smell of her hair. That scent has become the ultimate comfort to me. It just makes me feel like whatever's going on, no matter how bad it might be, it's all gonna be okay. My wife is my respite, my spirit animal, my home. I can't tell her too often cause she's Vietnamese and she shows affection differently, so Shelby roll her eyes at me for being mushy and cheesy, but sometimes I tell her anyway, just in case she forgot. What else don't I tell her? That she's pretty. Instead, when she asks if something looks good on her, instead of telling her she looks good in something, I tell her it looks horrible, and I demand she strip out of it. Right now, sometimes I catch her smiling as she turns around after the eye roll. Story 5. You initiating physical intimacy, even PG rated, is your cheat code for us. We don't get that much, so it's magical when it does happen. We wish it was the norm. Story 6. The amount of overthinking I do. The whole I'm fine even when I'm not. My goal is to make my girl happy. The last thing I want to do is burden her with my issues and overthinking. Plus, I always think, do I say what's wrong and risk ruining things, or do I keep my mouth shut and just let it eat at me? Story 7. Compliments or acknowledgments of good doing are things we will remember forever. We don't often get these things for years at a time sometimes, so when we do get a genuine compliment, it feels insanely good. Story 8. When we are doing doggy, we stare right at your butthole sometimes. Not every time, but enough that someone in a long-term relationship could probably pick out your booty hole in a lineup. Story 9. When we want to be alone, it's not because we hate you or don't want to be around you anymore, or don't find you attractive. It's not about you at all, we really just want to be left alone. We love it when you initiate. Doesn't have to be all the time. We'll do our part lol, but it gets old if we're the only one doing it. We want to feel attractive, and like we turn you on too. Story 10. If I'm quiet, it doesn't mean I'm upset or something is wrong. 90 of the time I'm either tired, thinking about something else, or just don't have anything to say. Story 11. We've thought about what you look like naked. Even that guy who's nice and polite and timid and gives off zero energy, he's thought about you naked too. Story 12. We too miss you. We too get anxious when you're not talking to us. And we too love you. And trust me, even after a huge fight, we think of you everywhere we go. Story 13. We are obsessed with you, but we can't show it. It almost seems like women don't like men on social media half the time, even if the woman is heterosexual. But maybe they're playing the same game. I think most guys I know are just generally infatuated with women as whole. We're different, yes, but we love that difference and everything about you all. You're amazing and help make the world turn. That said, we have to play it coy at first or you'll get the ick. Even if we really like you, I was down bad for my wife at the first date, but I had to keep it cool. It's such a delicate balance and hard to get a woman to know you like her so much, but you're not a simp who can't carry himself as an individual. With my wife, when we actually got to know each other, and we were both locked in, then I could truly express how insane I was for her without scaring the poor girl. Story 14. An entire childhood of being called a sissy, or worse by other men your age or older anytime you show weakness or emotional vulnerability, us up for a lifetime. If you ever wonder why it's so hard for me to open up, that's a big part of it for a lot of us. Story 15. We have the ability to shut our brains off. I mean flatlining off to the point where we think of absolutely nothing. We don't share this with women because they cannot shut their brains off at all, even while sleeping, and this irritates them. Story 16. We go through a lot more internally than we'll ever let you know. We don't want to feel like a burden to those we love. Even if you tell us we're not being a burden, we'll still feel it. Story 17. The moment our trust is broken or something is done that shakes up the peace, it's over. There's no actual moving past it. It may not be spoken about, but it will present itself in other ways. Story 18. What we need most isn't love. Love is great, don't get me wrong, but what we need is to feel respected. Most of that is on us. We have to be, or become, respectable. But if you want to please your man, don't focus on love. Focus on making him feel respected and appreciated. Story 19. When we tell you that we don't think you look fatchegly bedek, we truly mean it. To us, you're the same person we fell in love with however many years ago. Your body may change, but our vision of you never changes, at least for me. Story 20. Your lack of kind words for us and the absence of genuine compassionate touch and otherwise are a huge detriment to our mental health. Being constantly seen as the provider and fixer of problems with little in return is such a burden. Story 21. When we don't want to tell you something, sometimes just go with it. Sometimes it's just inane nonsense in our heads and you would wonder what choices you made in life to be exposed to this nonsense. Like how long does Darth Vader take in the can? Or is the janitor in Scrubs and the policeman on The Fugitive the same person? Story 22. It gets old only giving compliments and not receiving them. Yes, we want more than we're actually having, but it's not just about getting off, it's about feeling close with you too. We need to feel wanted too. Probably my favorite thing to hear is you laughing at some joke I made. Story 23. We keep notes. When my wife and I started dating, I made a notes file for her. Important dates, favorite or preferred things. At this point 99 of it is memorized. But I keep it still. One day my memory might not be as great. Story 24. We do understand that when you tell us your problems you want us to listen to you, offer platitudes, make you feel heard, but not try to fix things. When you're sharing with venting to us, it's usually because we like each other. The secret problem is that this behavior is how we treat men we don't particularly like, but can't walk away from, when they tell us their problems. Wow, that sounds really. Story 25. One time 6 years ago, a random stranger gave me a compliment. It happens so rarely that I still regularly think about that moment. Yes, it is nice, but more than anything I just want to feel safe enough to not have to be managing the house and responsibilities. Even if for just 10 minutes I get to lay my head in your lap and you run your hands through my hair and tell me I don't have to worry and that you have everything under control, it almost brings a tear thinking about that kind of bliss. You don't need to be dolled up to be attractive. The real things that we fall in love with are your little quirks. It might be a lilt in your voice, a turned-up nose, a thick booty, the way you smile. It's not perfection that we look for, we just want real. Story 26. We look at your photos, those videos of you laugh, silly videos and previous conversations when we miss you, feel down, alone, anxious. It makes us smile, feel warm and forget about our problems. Please continue to send us videos of you laughing, being cute and silly. We love it a lot. We really enjoy receiving pictures from you, not nudes, your face. We can't get enough. Story 27. If you were bit by a zombie, I'd absolutely put you down immediately, and not lock you away in the basement to have this monumentally bad idea not come back to literally bite me. Story 28. Blue is fake. Don't let a guy pressure you into a HJ or BJ because he has blue, he can go himself. Now if you want to play with it, go ahead, but not because some guy claims it's your fault he has a. Story 29. Not all of us, but a lot of us, we don't miss your advances. We understand that you're flirting, but we often won't make a move in fear of misinterpreting the message and being perceived as a creep by you and all of your friends when you tell them. Story 30. I am not the special soulmate you think I am. There were at least 2 girlfriends I met before you that I could have spent the rest of my life with, but I wasn't ready yet. You just happened to meet me when I was ready. That being said, I love you with all my heart. Story 31. I have a list. Bear with me as I lay bare my stuff. Yes, you did gain weight. I love you just the same, if not more, for caring what I think and voicing up your concern. Yes, there are objectively prettier girls than you based on what I think my group of guys or guys in general tend to prefer. For me, however, you are the prettiest, most sexiest, most I wanna ug you so bad girl in the world, and I'm glad you're mine. I love you so much that I would absolutely kill for you if I needed to. I would definitely question why you want me to kill, but I would do it. I can't tell you how I feel completely because many people before you have ruined it. I trust you until the limit that I trust myself and nothing more. There is no healing this. I am open to giving you more, but I don't necessarily trust you with the information. It's hard to explain. Story 32. When you diminish what I like, it hurts my feelings. Calling the sports I like sportsball, making snide comments if I ever try to play the video game a little bit, calling me a nerd or a kid because I like D&D and high fantasy media. If I take care of everything I'm supposed to as a boyfriend and head of my household, as well as being a supportive and empathetic partner and friend, why can't I ever reach for the childlike joy we all used to experience? When I was a young adult not doing anything but getting high and around, I understood being denigrated for it. But now as a competent, capable and compassionate adult, I feel as if I've earned play time. Fun shouldn't be limited to useful like fixing X or buying Y. Maybe I just want to lay on the couch and watch Transformers one time. Story 33. How many of them are sucking other guys' dicks behind their wives' or girlfriends' backs? Back in the Craigslist days, there would be countless posts daily from DL married guys looking to hook up with other guys. Story 34. I actually don't like as much as my wife does, more than likely due to low libido. I prefer to just be around them, even if we aren't doing anything. Story 35. The first time my daughter hugged me, I realized I couldn't remember the last time someone hugged me. Years, she's still the only person since then who's hugged me, and I cherish it every time. Story 36. That males have body, mind and personality insecurities too, that boys are sexually abused too, that we aren't respected for tears or exhibited hurt, that fathers often don't provide affection to boys, that males have no mentors to teach them how to be better men. That toxic masculinity is what happens when homophobia is pervasive and no one challenges it. Every time a man says I'm straight, he is saying I am not gay, and he can't tell you where the word straight or gay came from. Story 37. Not sure if these are secrets, but most of us don't believe in horoscopes and only tolerate it so we can get laid. We don't want to hear about what a bad guy we are because of something we did in your dream. Your intrusive thoughts and ability to constantly bring up the past are not endearing. Yes, we watch. You're probably not as great a gift giver as you think you are. We're just thankful we got something. Story 38. We compliment one another's penises at the urinals. Usually it's casual, hey great penis you've got there, but sometimes we use the long form pardon me, but I noticed what an outstanding penis instead of your packin', and I had to speak up. This usually only applies to straight men at sports bars, but is also applicable to events like weddings and funerals. Happy Wednesday, okay? Story 39. Some of us are actually really depressed and hanging by a thread. Sometimes a kind word, compliment, or even a hello helps us get through and not end it all. Story 40. Sometimes we might just love you, and everything about you, but it doesn't have to be about bumping uglies. It might just be the spark in your eye, the smile on your face, the sun in your hair, but to say we love you would feel wrong and creepy, so we say nothing. Story 41. There is a lot of the usual stuff the question in this thread generates happening here. I don't see myself in a lot of these comments. To the people in here that feel like they need to hide their feelings from their wife, tell her what you feel, what you think. She loves you, doesn't she? It's way better having someone else to talk about that stuff with. Story 42. You might be the only friend we actually trust, but we are still afraid of being too vulnerable because our society taught us that the scariest thing in the world is being vulnerable. Story 43. I'm serious when I say please stop. I have limits, and if you keep pushing even though I've told you it's too much, I might have to raise my voice, and that isn't violence. Story 44. The trick to opening jars is not about upper body strength per se, it's about torque and technique, and no, we don't plan the technique, we have just learned it somehow without realizing it. Left hand on lid, right dominant hand on jar, left hand goes counterclockwise, right hand goes clockwise. If you're a lefty, I believe you should just mirror it. I'm right-handed, most women do it in reverse I found, and are therefore bad at it. When I suggested to a few female friends to try and use the other hand, i.e. their left, they did it easily and were flabbergasted. Only one person it didn't help. The point is that your dominant hand shouldn't do the lid, it should hold the jar in place, and it's counterintuitive because well you have a hand deadness and think the dominant hand should have all the action, removing the purpose of boyfriends, one comment at a time. Story 45. Figured ID. Drop some real ones. These are things guys rarely admit out loud. 1. Money stress. A lot of guys feel pressure to be the main provider. Even if both people work, if they're struggling financially, they usually keep it to themselves because they feel ashamed or embarrassed. 2. Emotions. Men definitely have deep feelings like fear, insecurity, and even temptation. Many choose to stay quiet about them. It's not because they don't feel anything. It's because they're afraid of looking weak or starting a fight. 3. Spiritual stuff. Some men feel lost or disconnected spiritually but won't say anything. They may be questioning their beliefs or unsure what they believe at all, but they keep it to themselves. 4. Work. Family drama. He could be dealing with something at work or within his family and choose not to talk about it. Sometimes it's because of pride, other times, he just doesn't want to burden you. 5. An attraction. Most men have thoughts or fantasies they never share. It doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong, they just don't want to create tension or deal with a negative reaction. 6. Other women. Some guys still think about an ex or feel attracted to someone else, even someone close to their partner. They don't talk about it because they don't want to cause drama. 7. Friends' opinions. There's a chance his friends or family have said something negative about you. He probably won't repeat it because he wants to avoid hurting your feelings or creating conflict. 8. Privacy. Some men value a certain level of personal space. They may keep things like browsing history or private conversations to themselves. It's not always about hiding something. Sometimes it's just about having their own corner of life. 9. Past trauma. Men may carry heavy things from their past, like childhood trauma, being cheated on, or heartbreak. Rather than talk about it, many just bury it deep. 10. Relationship doubts. A guy might have questions or doubts about the relationship but choose not to bring them up. He stays quiet because he's afraid of hurting you or making things worse. 11. Other things. Men rarely admit. Some men have big goals or dreams that they never talk about because they fear being judged. Yes, some men do fake orgasms, even if no one talks about it. Many men secretly wish for more physical affection or closeness, and sometimes, they hang out with a female friend and don't mention it just to avoid making their partner uncomfortable. I actually asked AI to help me brainstorm this list, but I wrote the answer myself. Just used it as a way to get ideas flowing. Definitely play more video games than she knows. Story 46. My girlfriend once asked me what happens if we ever broke up. I told her that we would never see each other again and we would never hear each other's voice ever again. Breakups to me have always been a clean break, and you forget they ever existed. The two go back to being strangers, despite their history together. My girlfriend couldn't fathom that concept, but that's the way it is. Story 47. I think a reason a lot of us don't like our mother-in-law is because we get to see the direct results of their parenting and how it affected you, and it's infuriating in some cases. Of course I'm a bit standoffish with a woman. She's the reason you have an anxiety disorder and wince about leave a task undone, regardless of how small, like you can feel her slap and undermining critique coming. Story 48. We practice conversations in the shower, full debates, comebacks we should have said 3 years ago, acceptance speeches for awards we'll never win, the whole shampoo bottle audience gets a show. Story 49. That we constantly think about our mistakes and then spiral downwards and feel unworthy for anything but would just like to be reassured we matter and are loved despite our UPS. Story 50. If we ever show you real emotion and you use it against us later on, you will never know our true feelings ever again and you likely are no longer a safe space to us. Emotional distancing follows and trust is broken. Story 51. We truly do think you look better without makeup on, and we understand that wearing it makes you feel prettier, but sometimes it's really not doing you any favors. Story 52 we divide in roughly normal, and when it comes to how we treat women, and we don't shrug that off, it's a determining social factor between men. Although humans are good at hiding their real personality, some don't hide it well or reveal it when they think it's safe to do so. That doesn't end up in just two categories though. Throughout my life as a man I've met those who either 1. Treat women as just other human beings, earthling individuals like themselves, equal in that area 2, don't but they hide it completely. Obviously the scariest bunch 3. Don't and they reveal it when there are no women around, thinking for some reason that you're like-minded can be a terrible awkward experience, and there are odd subcategories but niche like those who are submissive to women, or scared of them, or those who resent women and say it out loud e.g. mommy problems or incels anyway. It's one of the essential but untold reasons why some men just won't click and befriend. It's not just because of soccer teams, there are more serious reasons why we sometimes avoid interacting completely. Story 53 we listen to you and learn from your reactions. If we tell you we had a hard day at work and our boss sucks and you come back with my day was harder, then expect us not to tell you about our day at work as much anymore. If we tell you that a hot girl tried to pick us up while walking home from work and we denied her and showed our wedding ring, and you react by getting angry and going through our phone looking for cheating, expect that we won't tell you next time it happens. Then when you complain that we don't communicate enough, we start to wonder why we bother sharing anything with you and even coming home to you. Story 54 when we suddenly look away or scratch our nose or look at the phone after a sad scene in a movie, we're actually crying but don't ever want to let on. Story 55 I've never told women I've dated, or even been close friends with, what my job on a ship actually entails, that the fire and emergency drills we constantly run are because we have small fires and are flooding all the time. That swinging a multi-ton part or piece of equipment while the ship is rolling is more about making sure my coworkers and I aren't crushed by it is a nearly daily occurrence. That if something happens and we have to abandon ship, the chances of me getting off are extremely low since I'm one of the people who will be keeping the lights on and ship afloat as long as possible for boats to launch, and actually making it to a lifeboat doesn't change those odds much. Everyone I know who isn't in the industry sees my job as something to let me get paid to travel and stay out of an office. They don't need to know any more than that, and am more than happy to keep it that way. Story 56 men live in a constant state of being alone. Even with their friends, they can still feel lonely. Every woman treats men like a threat and are inherently uneasy at a minimum to openly hostile at most. Any meaningful connection a man can have is vital, which is why lasting relationships with female friends can have devastating consequences when they end. This is especially true if they end due to catching feelings for said female friend due to the aforementioned loneliness epidemic. Story 57 we are starved for intimacy and trust. I believe this is likely the biggest driver of patriarchy and related suffering for both sexes in our society. Women enjoy the benefits of platonic touch with each other and men their whole lives. Men in Western societies at least lose platonic touch, with the exception of a very occasional hug, in adolescence. At the same time we are denied other forms of nurturing and the right to expression of weak emotions. As teens we are already ashamed to confide in other guys emotionally, so we learn to form side-by-side friendships instead of the face-to-face friendships that women tend toward. We lose access not only to platonic touch but to intimate confidence. From that point on even the most minor validation must be earned. We have no intrinsic value to anyone but our family members. Women have intrinsic value, children have it, men don't. Validation is withheld until we prove our worth, i.e. become successful by society's warped standards. Even progressives try to control us by telling us how real men supposedly behave. The one socially acceptable way we can enjoy intimacy is, so we become obsessed with it. We are thought to be insatiable, but in fact we are just starving. Attempts at intimacy in other forms are perceived as come-ons or otherwise perverted. Since everyone knows men are obsessed perverts, except that's only true because we have no other venue for intimacy. It's a vicious cycle. I can't count how many times I've wanted to offer to hold a stressed-out mother's crying baby. I've raised 4 of my own so she could take care of something else. But I don't, because I'm terrified of the awkward reaction I feel sure I will get. To be clear, I'm sure many women would gracefully accept. Anyway, there's usually another woman there to do it, and what mother would choose the guy who volunteered himself? I don't know the solution for all this, and am not blaming anyone in particular. This is the kind of thing that changes very gradually. Wishing everyone love and peace. Story 58 we keep almost all of our hard-hitting issues hidden. The vast majority of us have learned through life experiences that it's just never worth talking about that stuff. I have trauma that I've never once spoken out loud, and am 32 years old. I don't plan to either. Story 59 I still have the messages where my now fiancée poured her heart out to me over 4 years ago. I probably look at them every couple of months still wondering how I got so lucky. Story 60 all things you'll think we are too dumb to notice. We aren't. We notice, especially if it's something where you pull a fast one and think we're too dumb to make sense of it. We know we just don't have the energy to argue over some dumb. Story 61 some of us unlearned the ability to cry in our childhood. So we sometimes just sit there and want to cry but we don't know how, and then we just sit here and cry internally without tears. Story 62 is great, but the best feeling is having her fall asleep on your chest. Not manly though, is it? You've got to find that balance. Even with cis wives GFs you trust. Everyone is different though, so what do I know? So many woe is me dudes in here. Start taking ownership of your emotions and stop letting some faceless, nameless society dictate what you're allowed to feel and express. So many comments about hiding pain and feelings masked as expected masculinity is actually cowardice and not masculine at all. Story 63. We don't believe you when you say you want to see our sensitive side. Years of experience tells us that what you really want is to see a tiny crack in our tough exterior, only for us to brush it aside and be the rock again. Story 64. The thought of me dying and my wife having to deal with that and go through all the grief, anger, sadness, rage, loneliness, abandonment and all the what-ifs absolutely shatters me to pieces sometimes. It's not an everyday thing. I'm still youngish 54. It's just a secret fear that I could never say out loud. Story 65. We want you to give us emotional support, affection, and care. We're just not great at communicating that some of us are, and the social stigma around it says that men should be rocks. Story 66. To show your emotions or cry in front of a woman is the same as bleeding in front of a shark. I feel terrible for the young men today. I'm old, but so many young men have never been told I'm proud of you, you're a good person, you're important to me, have pride in yourself and the abilities you have developed, you're really good at this. I would say 90 of men never get that from their dads. Even today, I've seen so much blood sport to hurt men for no other reason but a dopamine rush. I had a terrible young life and teenage years were just as bad. Never was I told by my stepfather I love you, you did a good job, well done. The physical and mental beatings were so bad my history teacher pulled my stepfather out of bar and said I will end you if you beat him again. My stepfather did worse. He beat my mom while I watched and he was armed. Police in a small town do not care. My real father was in prison and it was no secret and I was reminded you're going to share a cell with your dad someday. Every day I tell my kids I love you. I take interest in their success and failures too. Never criticize, ask them how does this make you feel. You hate failure. Make sure this does not happen again. It'll help you get there to the very end. My kids are only as good as the changed blueprints my wife and I have created. I've had a ton of therapy to pull me out of the fortress I created to keep me surviving. I tell them you are good at this and you made this happen because you showed up. Men don't share these things with women. As a young man told me, sir, to cry or show emotions in front of a woman is bleed in front of sharks. Those words have haunted me for months now. Good luck. Story 67. A lot of you guys need therapy. There is a lack of emotional intelligence for some in here. Take some accountability for yourself. Being a man isn't being emotionally absent. It's owning that you were hurt in the past, talking about it, then growing from it. Story 68. I'm gay. Straight guys scare me too. Gay guys scare me. Hanging out with women is much easier sometimes. Men suffer every day and we want to tell women. Story 69. There is an entire world of demons in our heads that we fight on a constant basis just to stay alive that take up 80 of our emotional and mental strength on a daily basis. You will never know the extent of these fights, or how bad they hurt us until the first time we lose and the body can't take it anymore. Story 70. I don't know the exact numbers, but a lot of men feel like they aren't listened to, understood, and treated with empathy. Men have to be keenly aware of a woman's experience and always consider it first and foremost. And if we say how much pressure we are under to live up to the standard expected of to be considered a good man, we don't receive support, we get challenged to defend our claim that we have suffered it all. Story 71. Probably too late to the convo on this one, and maybe slightly repetitive. We think and care a lot more than one realizes. The pressure, the stigma, the expectations, they more often than not, and it's way harder than we want to admit. At our core, we want to love, protect, and serve. Also at our core, we weren't always taught how to express that. A secret men don't tell men, in my opinion, is that it's okay to cry. It's okay to hug a buddy, a stranger, or anyone. It's okay to say I'm not okay because you're not, and that's okay, you're also not alone. More often than not, men are individuals that show love, compassion through acts of service, physical touch. Not in the way of we're always horny, albeit let's be honest, lol, but it's one of the easiest and deepest ways we've been taught how to connect with our partner. Give us the time, the attention, depth, grace, and I have a feeling we might surprise you. Story 72. If a guy is with you long term, he finds you attractive, he might notice your imperfections, but he doesn't care about them at all. You're the most attractive woman in the world to him. That said, biology is a thing, and us dudes are programmed to want as many women as possible. You could be the hottest supermodel ever, and the stupid lizard brain at the core of our being will see a barely attractive chick and go, dude, look woman, we can't help it. It 100 does not mean we are less attracted to, or unhappy with, the woman we are with. Of course, acting on those thoughts is a whole different matter, and not excusable at all.